Have you noticed how top YouTube entrepreneurs have completely changed their YouTube intros? They're no longer telling their name up front, and they're definitely not asking for subscribers in their intros. What are they doing instead? They are hooking viewers with curiosity and credibility in the first 30 seconds. When you start a video by talking about yourself first, you are most likely going to lose viewers who don't know you yet. And when you're trying to grow a YouTube channel, you want to attract new viewers. So when new viewers come, they don't know you yet. They don't want to sit through a long and perhaps tedious introduction. But at the same time, as professionals, we want to establish ourselves, we want to establish our expertise. So, how do we do that? That is exactly why I created this two-step system. So, the first part of this step is introducing a curiosity loop into your introduction. And the second part of this step is having a credibility bridge. And in today's video, I'm going to show you how to build a curiosity loop and a credibility bridge so that your viewers watch your video beyond the crucial 30-second mark on YouTube. So the YouTube introduction script that I'm going to talk about today is actually included inside my YouTube planner. And you can go down to the link in the description and get my entire YouTube planner. Now, as we get into the system, there are two caveats that I want to share. Number one, trends are great, but they may not necessarily be applicable to everyone across the board. So the trends that I'm talking about today, you need to think about whether it's applicable to you, where you are in your journey as an entrepreneur and creator. For example, when I say that most YouTube creators right now are not introducing themselves by name in their intros, somebody actually wrote to me and said, well, my name is really hard to pronounce, so I like to say my name in the beginning of my intros. So, of course, there's going to be cases like that where you need to do some stuff in your intro that is relevant and specific to you, that makes sense for you. So please go ahead and do that. The second thing you need to be aware of as a caveat to this introductions trend is that a lot of these trends will depend on where you are in your journey on YouTube. A lot of this advice is applicable to people who are just starting their journey or who have yet to build a really big audience, because once you have an audience, you can get away with not really obeying a lot of the rules, right? But when you're trying to build an audience and grow an audience and attract people through your content, that's where you really need to focus on some of these introduction trends that I'm going to talk about today. And that's where they're going to be most important. So the first step in this system is to open a curiosity loop. And a curiosity loop is opened within the hook period. So that's the first 30 seconds of your video. Now, YouTube measures how many people are still watching your video at the 30-second mark. So the entire 30-second constitutes your hook, or the time where you are fulfilling the promise of your title and thumbnail. And the hook is really meant to tell people that they're in the right place. They're watching the right video. This is not clickbait. Like, you made a promise in your title, and now you are going to talk about the thing that you promised that you are going to talk about. So that's the entire purpose of your hook statement. So how do we open a curiosity loop? So let me do this by giving you an example, and then I'm going to show you 4 specific curiosity loops. So let's say that I want to create a video on a new AI tool like Perplexity, for example, which I've talked about in a previous video. Here's how I might open a curiosity loop for this particular video. I might say something like, this might be premature, but I'm going to call it Google search has finally met its match in a new tool called Perplexity AI. I know what you're thinking. Many have tried to dethrone Google and failed. Here's why Perplexity might actually succeed, and faster than you'd expect. So here's the key points to note about this. First of all, your curiosity loop should be about 10 to 20 seconds, right? Try and be as brief as possible, because that's where you're going to add the most punch. The job of a curiosity loop is to open a question in the viewer's mind. You want to get them thinking, wait, how is this possible? Wait, how is she going to do this? So that is what you're aiming for. Now, inside my YouTube scripting template, which is inside the YouTube planner, I'm going to give you 4 different curiosity hooks that you could use. So the first one is ask a question. And if you drop down and take a look, you'll see some examples in here as well. And it says that elicit curiosity by asking a question that's already in your viewer's mind. And then some examples here. And then the second kind of curiosity loop that you can open is to make a bold statement. Say something that's going to be challenging an assumption, perhaps, taking a stand, or presenting an opposing point of view. So this is a really, really great way to get people's curiosity going. The third way you can do that is to share a statistic or a fact. You can start with a factual statement that makes your viewer either want to be part of that percentage or against it. And the final kind of curiosity loop that works amazingly well is to start a compelling story. So you could share a personal story, either yours or someone perhaps who you've worked with. So a client testimonial or a client story. So these would be really good 4 examples of curiosity loops that you can weave into your script. The second part of this 2-part framework is to build a credibility bridge. So you literally want to think about it like a bridge connects 2 points. And what 2 points are we connecting here? We're connecting the topic with why you are qualified to speak on that topic. And this is the part where business YouTube channels and entrepreneurs and professionals is trying to establish their expertise. And they're trying to tell their viewers, like, hey, I know what I'm talking about. I'm a subject matter expert. I've done this thing. I'm qualified to speak on this topic. But instead of telling people your credentials, like I did my MBA or I, have this degree or this qualification, you want to do it in a more subtle and kind of an implied way. So instead of throwing your qualifications in people's faces, you want to build what I like to call a credibility bridge. And this is how you do it. So if we were to use our previous example of the video topic about the AI tool, here's how I could build a credibility bridge on that particular topic. I could say something like, I've installed and tested Perplexity's Chrome extension. Instead of being shown 10 search results from Google, I am shown one single answer directly answering my search query. I taught one of my YouTube clients how to use Perplexity for research, and she said that it has been a game changer for her in getting clarity on what topics to create videos on. So you see how certain terminology in this, like for example, I tested, I taught one of my YouTube clients, my client, I got these results. All of these are showing people that I've done the work for them. So that's why I would be qualified to tell you what happened as a result of all of this work that I did, right? So what you're doing is implied credibility, and this builds trust a lot faster because you're not just saying that you're an expert, you are showing that you're an expert. Now, inside my YouTube planner, I again give you 4 credibility bridges that you can use. So let's go through them. So the first one is the relatability trigger. The relatability trigger could be telling people that you've been where you are so they can trust you. You've been through the process. It could be that they want to do things that you are doing right now. So this is how I got to this point. I'll share my process with you. Another relatability trigger could be if you want to follow the same steps that I did. And the fourth one is you want the results that I've gotten. So these are all great ways to build relatability and establish trust without really harping on about you're the expert, right? So you build relatability and people feel like they can relate to you. So therefore, they're going to watch your video. Now, the second credibility bridge is the trust trigger. So the trust trigger could be a client testimonial, a case study that perhaps you could showcase, or a specific result that either you or somebody you work with has achieved. It could even be some research that you've done on how somebody achieved a certain result, and you're showcasing that. So you've done the homework and you're showing people that they can trust your findings. The third kind of credibility bridge that you can use is called a transparency trigger. I love this one because it works so well on YouTube. And that is really because when you share the behind the scenes, you show your actual results, you show the good, bad, and the ugly, you are building trust because you're being transparent about the process, the behind the scenes, all of the stuff that goes on into whatever that topic is. So this is a really, really great way to build credibility. And the final credibility bridge is called the authenticity trigger. Again, one of my favorite ones to use on YouTube because this is what makes people trust you within 30 seconds, right? So the authenticity trigger is you keeping it real, being honest about your struggles, admitting mistakes or drawbacks. So for example, if you went through something and you share the fact that you went through that particular challenging time or that struggle or that problem, and here's how you solved it, that's authentic And it implies a lot of trust in the fact that, hey, this person's gone through it already. So I can trust that if I'm going through it, they will have some good advice for me. Now, I just want to show you that the way that I've structured the scripting template here is that you can actually select some of these triggers and some of these things and put them into your video. So, for example, if I say I want to use the relatability trigger, these are little check boxes that you can be like, okay, I'm going to do all 4 of these and I'm going to actually put it in my speaking section. And on the right-hand side of the scripting template is a column that you're going to use for the editing portion of your scripting. So as you're scripting, you're thinking about, okay, perhaps I want to use some of these editing effects or transitions while I am saying a certain thing. So you could send it to your editor, or if you're doing your editing yourself. So for example, I could say like, okay, after I say the first paragraph, here's where I want to zoom in. So I could drop this in, or, I want to do a picture in picture at this point and share some screenshots. So you could manipulate this however you like. And this entire scripting template contains the hook triggers, the curiosity loops, of course, that we talked about, the credibility bridges that we just talked about right now, the what to include in your body, so engagement triggers, how to keep people engaged throughout your video, and then also your calls to action. So all of this template is included inside my YouTube planner. Now, when I use my 2-part system and I build in curiosity and I add in credibility, I typically get about a 68 to 70% retention rate in my first 30 seconds of my YouTube videos. And when I don't have these 2 elements, my retention drops to about 50%. So that's a pretty big difference and a really good indicator of why it's a good idea to have this 2-part framework, especially if you're struggling with retention and keeping viewers engaged and getting more views. So if you think that that's the help you need, then get my YouTube planner either from the end card or from down in the description below. And I will see you in the next video, which is part of this series on how to fill out your content portion of your YouTube planner. So go and watch that next, and I'll see you in the next video.